Testing, testing, 1 2 1 2.
Human advancement knows no boundary.
Testing, testing.
This has not been without its price.
All right, I think we are online. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Hopefully this doesn't crash. The PS5 version of the game has a tendency to crash. It particularly crashes
marvels
at
beyond the
the
dreams of ancient prophets, and terrors more fearsome than any apocalypse. Machines search for meaning, and new matter weaves dreamlike forms. Choices made long ago bear grave consequences in this age, and demand resolute answers. Go now, and achieve your vision for the future of civilization. Prime Minister Curtin, you will lead Australia through challenge after challenge, and your people will emerge all the stronger for it. Others will seek friendship for your strength. If these friends prove loyal, your might and protection will carry you far.
but stay vigilant, for aggression is not your natural course. I always like hearing the dude from the King of the North from Game of Thrones. So as I was saying before he hopped on, the PS5, PlayStation 5 version of the game crashes after you complete the game. I was concerned that I was making this video, but it was going to crash. But I saved it at the end, so I'm good. Okay, so this is a completed game. I talked to Zelda about maybe streaming. And I was like, well, when can I do that? And I'm logging off. I'll be offline for like 2 weeks. So I was like, oh, well, this is the perfect time to do it. It's December 29th. It's right before New Year. I was like, okay, I can do what I need to do and be good. First of all, this is a completed game. I won a space race victory. Yeah, Aztecs. Yeah, we got you. It's a little offensive to me that the Aztecs were chasing me for a space race victory. Saladin, my neighbor, one-time rival, was also very close to victory, but I won the game. There were a few things I wanted to talk about, and I guess I'll be offline for about 2 weeks. That'll give you time if you have questions. This will give you time to pose questions, and then I'll be able to respond if necessary. Civ, as I mentioned, Zelda and TJ, Civ is my favorite hobby. I sometimes I stream under the name Puget Zulu or Puget Zoo. Also Doc Zulu, like those are my online handles. But Civ is like, if I'm not, I don't count listening to music or reading manga. Those aren't really hobbies. I'm talking about interactive, doing stuff. And Civ is my number one hobby. So, since you have not played it since, I think you said Civ 6, or maybe it was before that. I can't recall. I wanted to talk about overall strategies that apply to everyone. Strategies that will transfer regardless of which level you're playing on. First, I would note land settlement. So, let's see where are we. Thank You Jesus Thank You Jesus is my capital. It is Australia. Don't worry about where I spawn, but I'm just going to put this in context. Australia spawns on coastlines. They don't often spawn on rivers. Like a coastal river is a perfect start for Australia, whereas just spawning on the river is perfect for you guys. You always need a source of water. I'm sure you know that. But, as you can see, I got it to size 26, which is pretty large compared to what the AI will do. And most gamers, they spread wide. I like to spread tall. So like size 26, I usually get like size 33. Like that's a really good. If I get to size 35, then I should win the game without any question. But size 26 is not that big for me. But comparatively, it is large. You won't need to be that large. But I believe in growing tall, which means I have fewer cities, and if I have fewer cities, they tend to have lots and lots of districts. So I made sure that I settled on what I considered to be the best kind of land. I had stone. I had what is that? Mercury. So mercury is a luxury resource that keeps some people happy. Stone helps with production. I had a horse that helps with food and production. I had trees. Not a lot of hills, but oh no, one hill. And I didn't have a lot of hills, but note that Australia doesn't like hills. Just in terms of the way that my Civ plays, so don't worry about that. But when you spawn, you want to be by at least one hill. If you don't have more than one hill, you need some trees, and you'll be able to build lumber mills. So trees help with production. Hills are essential. You need a luxury resource somewhere. Note also that whales and pearls, clams, pearls and whales also count as luxury resources. So this is a good. It's not great, but this is a good start for especially for a capital. Like you start off, and for me, because I'm on the coast, that really helps me. I push north to steal away. And as you can see, I like to steal away because of all the production. So because this is on the coast and it has a lot of grassland that I built up, this is called Outback Station. For now, we don't need to talk about that. But later on, if you are interested, we can talk about that. But this is called Outback Station. So this is grassland. But I wanted a city that could produce. I also wanted a place that would establish my boundaries. And at first I thought Steal Away would provide that boundary. So as you can see, I have a fox here that provides luxury resource. I have deer that provides production and food. I have another fox that provides a luxury resource. It took a while to grow this city though, because there's so many hills. That means there isn't a lot of land to like farm, right? One thing you should know, this was on a floodplain. I could not take advantage of the corn the way I wanted to. The river would flood the corn, and then you have to farm the resource again, and then it'll perpetually flood. So what I just do is I say, I'm just not going to farm it. I didn't want to waste a builder charge until I could create this dam. This is a dam. This is a factory. Yes. So this is a factory here in Brown. This is the dam next to it that helps with the adjacency. We'll get to that in a moment. I also found they used to call it gunpowder, niter. On older Civ games, they used to call this gunpowder, but this is niter. We'll talk about adjacency later, but this is an excellent production resource. This is a world wonder, Great Zimbabwe. You don't need to know anything other than that. You can look it up, but I made some money off of that. That was helpful. And as part of a ladder game, you can see that I have 2 airplanes here, and this is an airport. Now, this city is important. So right now we're talking about land settlement. That's part 1. This city is my most important city outside of my capital. Campo, I like to call this the border city. This is going to be the city that establishes the borders of my entire empire. It tells my enemies, this is where I'm centralizing my defenses. If you want to come at me, I'm going to have my best units up here, probably the majority of my units. This is a robot. I'd call him Fred or Blackie or something, but I just call him Robot. This dude is powerful. He is wonderful. It is a peacemaker. It tells everyone that if we're going to fight, we're going all the way, right? I also have a fighter jet patrolling Campo. Now, in terms of land settlement, though, the reason why I took this, first of all, I don't like neighbors. I personally like to build tall, so I like to eat up all my land tiles. But I sacrificed that to push back See, who is it? Saladin of the Arabian Empire to push back Saladin. So I knew that at some point his culture would encroach across my land. I'm sure you know this, but every city starts out with the potential to have 3 land tiles extended from the base. So let me give you a better example. So if you go back to the capital, look at the 3 land tiles. 1, 2, 3, up to the stone. And it works out this way. 1, 2, 3. I own everything diagonally from this hex. It belongs to this city. A lot of gamers like to don't take advantage of all of their hexes. They build smaller cities and they're wider. Because I built tall, I use up nearly all of my hexes. The third hex, or the third grid out. So if you consider this the first hex, this is the second hex, and then out toward the horse is the third hex. It's very expensive to purchase the land, whether it be through coin or through culture. It's very expensive to purchase the third hex. So a lot of gamers don't even care about what what is located on your third hex. I do because I built tall. I use up the whole doggone thing. So as you can see, 1, 2, 3, and these kind of mountains get in the way. 1, 2, 3. This whole thing, I eat up the whole thing. And as you can see, by the way, I didn't even bother with this corn, the maize, because it's outside my hex, so I didn't tile it or till it. But like right here, no, where is it? And that's for the other cities, that doesn't count. But like this horse is at the end of my hex, 1, 2, 3, and I counted it out. By the way, that's what I do when I found a city. So back up here with Campo, like these fools founded their city right next to me. So I lost the third hex, and I actually had to use coin to purchase these tiles here. I built lumber mills, which is a technology, but I had to purchase it, and the AI and online gamers do this also, but the AI is less concerned about space. I like lots of space. So automatically we're going to have some skirmishes over this. Cause I feel affronted if you get that close to me, and they feel affronted, of course, because they regard this as their territory. But that's the point. I'm pushing back by establishing this border city. After I establish my border city, I go west and I built Alyssa Patrice Opal, and then I built east and north to Holy Names. Later in the game, I built this island city because I'm Australia and we really like water. So you can see these are like some wonderful food tiles, food in production. I use technology for it, but look at this island. Like this is like isolated. I got barracks. I got iron. Then I built my own little campus here. So essentially, they're away from most of the fray. The Aztecs are over here, but they never gave me any problems, so I'm okay. One more bit about land settlement, and this is related to border. I flipped this city, Ajihab. This used to be part of the Arabian Empire, and I flipped it. In the game, they have a mechanic called loyalty, and if you have strong loyalty in your area, let me see if I can get the lens. There are various lenses in the game. I don't know how much you know or don't know, and also since you're playing, I'm assuming on computer, your buttons will be different than mine. But on the PS5, it's L1 to get the lens. So with the lens, you have a number of lenses. And for example, this is the settler lens. And the red means you cannot settle. Well, no one could settle because my city's there and because of my loyalty. So you see these negative numbers, -20, -16, -16 loyalty. It means that if You put a city there, put a settler over there and build a city, you will incur a negative penalty, a loyalty penalty, and there will be, a countdown will begin. And you need to build the loyalty in your city high enough to overcome the pressure of my empire, the cultural and political pressure of my empire. Once you get down to zero, your city will rebel against you and it will become mine. Or, someone else, right? So that happened to Arabia. They spread too far. And because I built tall, my loyalty overcame the little city, and I took that mug. So with regard to borders, you could push as far out as you want. But once you start seeing those numbers, and again, I'm sure you know this, but once you start pushing those numbers, you risk losing that wonderful, beautiful city of yours. Now, at the beginning of the game, if you find that you receive a warning, an audio warning that your city is feeling loyalty pressure, build a monument and build a granary. Usually, if you get to size 2 or 3, you can overcome the loyalty pressure, but the number has to be really low, like -1, maybe -2, but I wouldn't push beyond -2. Also, you need lots of amenities to keep your people happy because that will help to offset loyalty. But if the loyalty is too strong, there's nothing you could do to flip it. Excuse me. There is something you could do to flip it. I'll get to that in a moment. But if the loyalty is too strong, there's no natural way to overcome it. The only way you can overcome a significant amount of loyalty is to put a governor in your city. That will help to rebuff someone coming at you with too much loyalty. And, at the very, very, very beginning of the game, it's not a big deal. But around the time you start building your 3rd and 4th city, that's when you spot a good piece of land and you start noticing, it's kind of, for some reason, the AI, they got a lot of loyalty in this area, but this land, I can't turn it down. And you need to be able to spare a governor for that city to protect it. The third bit of advice that I would give, and once again, I'm pressing L1, but for you, it'd be something else. So, let's see if I can find it. Here's one. Okay, so you see how it says stealth technology 4 turns? If you are at the very beginning of the game, I mean, it really doesn't matter where, but for example, if you guys are starting a campaign, you want to get as many tech boosts as possible. Do not ignore tech boosts. Especially at the beginning of the game, tech boosts can reduce the amount of time it takes for you to get the technology. It can reduce it by 50%. And the AI, that's one way to get ahead of the AI, is the AI doesn't always take advantage of its tech boosts. But it's imperative for humans to do so, whether it's in a multiplayer game or if you're just playing solo. Tech boosts and culture boosts. Let me see if I can. Come on. Yeah. So you see how it's red? It says boosted. I could have had communism as a government. I chose democracy. But here's another one. Environmentalism. I was going to have that if the game lasted longer. So and also note that it says, docket. I thought I could. Yeah. So here we go. So note how it says, in order to get the boost, I need to build 2 solar farms. Yeah, I built 2 solar farms. and I would have relied on environmentalism to wrestle these fools. But again, I ended the game before that happened, and I'm very pleased because I probably would have lost if I had to wait for environmentalism. Let me see here. Tech culture bombs. Oh, paths to victory. I always do technology, so I'm the wrong person to talk to with regard to domination victory or culture victory, diplomatic victory, religious victory. But all of it stands true. Like you want to commit to your victory type. You don't want to waver. You don't want to go back and forth. Because I always choose tech victory, that can be a problem, right? Because if I find out I'm on a bad piece of land, I wind up quitting the game. Like, I'm not on a viable bit of land. There's no point. But if I were facile enough to employ different kinds of victories, I might view that as a challenge. Like, oh, there's some good land up north. I'm gonna take it from the Zulu, right? Like, no, we're just gonna, that land is my land now, and we're taking all your cities, or we're raising your cities, and we're gonna build on top of them, right? So there are a lot of options, but you have to know that in advance, and I would spend some time paying attention to victory types. Again, Civ 6 is a departure from Civ 5 and Civ 4, so that's stuff you need to know. By the way, at the top of the screen, I'm sure Zelda, since she is inattentive, she noticed it, but like, in case you have not, the top of the screen, or I shouldn't say top of the screen. For me, it's the top of the screen. I don't know if it's on the side of the screen for y'all, but on the top of the screen, it tells you what kind of resources I have. Aluminum, I have 8, but at the end of the game for a science victory, that is the most important resource. Like that, I have to have that. For warfare, the most important resource is probably oil. See, what's the one I'm trying to think of? There's one for the robots. I think I saw it. Yeah, here it is. What's it called? Uranium. Yes, I don't have any uranium, so I would need to create a settler, bring them down here, and build a satellite city for the uranium. Except it's sinking into the ocean. By the way, there's global warming in Civ. So if you get to a certain time in the game, the landmass on the planet starts to sink. So you may see these little barriers outside of my cities. Those are protective barriers that prevent portions of the continent from sinking. I'm responsible only for those that pertain to my empire. Some people, like you'll find your neighbors, didn't do it. Like right here, look, these fools, they didn't get to it in time. So they lost that bit of aluminum, and Barqua has begun to sink. And also this one, Tabuk, they've begun to sink too. They didn't build the barrier in time. They were busy threatening people with war, and they were busy with the space race. And they have so many cities that, how do you get to them all? Whereas I built tall. Every city for me is precious. I can't afford to lose any cities. But anyway, let me see. What was the last point? Now this is important. Civ 6 has a major change to the game engine and the way we experience the game. I'm sure you know this because you guys, started a few games, but the districts and district adjacency mechanics are the most important, unless of course you're just doing straight warfare. Everybody else, if you're trying to do culture, or you're trying to do religion, or if you're trying to do science victories, this is the most important mechanic. Districts, you need to learn the rules for all the buildings that you could build. Learn about district adjacencies. Let's see if I can find this. So I'm gonna go back to my capital. My capital campus, the place where I build libraries and universities, my campus is a +5. There are civics that can enhance my science, or like if you're interested in culture, there are civics that can enhance my culture, the culture buildings. The theater district, I believe it's called. The adjacencies are the way in which you find out how much additional science or culture or religion you will produce. And it's also comparative. In order to compete in the game in science, for example, you need at least a +4 adjacency. And ideally, you also want a +15 population. Ask about that later on if you're interested. But there are civics that will enhance your production of science and culture if you meet that criteria of +4 adjacency and size 15. I have a +6 adjacency here, so I have additional, and I always look for additional because the AI has so many advantages that I can't use the minimum to judge the effectiveness of my empire. I need more. So like if I had a +8 or a +9 or God forbid you give me a +10, I'm cooking now. Now I know I'm competitive, and the AI is gonna have to work twice as hard to beat me. But again, my capital is +5, my industrial zone +4, and that's not even like good. I've had +7 industrial zones, and I had to really engineer them. We should have a conversation about industrial zones. But industrial zones, in short, increase your production exponentially, and especially if you're dealing with late troops like tanks, you need industrial zones. +5 here for Steelaway for the campus. I really like the art. I can't zoom in any further, but you can see like that's a proper university, right? Like you got the library, you can see the university if you look closely, and then you can also see the laboratory, the research lab. And the industrial zone here is 4. The industrial zones here is only 3. There was nothing I could do. I tried to build it up, but I couldn't. I had to get like for me, 3 is disappointing now because I've had a few games where I've had really good industrial zones, and it makes a huge difference. Like you could spit out anything. Like it take 4 turns to spit out like a tank. I've been able to create robots in 10 turns, and that's devastating. If you could build a robot in 9 to 10 turns, that's nasty. I also built this baby city over here in Nerissa Hapiture. I only built it for the science. You'll note that mountains, coral reefs, they help with the adjacency for your campuses. So you want to look out for them before you commit to building one. Let me see here. Nerissa Hapiture +6. Here we go. Hangmassa +8. See what I mean by +8? When you got a +8, you're kicking ass. You are kicking ass. Javante only a +3. Like Javante was a desert city. I was only building it for the population. Sometimes I will have a city to fill out the borders of my empire, and I only want it to just grow. Right? It's not. I know. I'm pretty sure it's not going to do anything else. This town literally called oil. I didn't expect anything from it other than to provide me with oil. And obviously I didn't have oil, so I was like, yo, your job is just to provide oil. Illicit producer opal +8. +8 marketplace. I think it's actually called commercial district. But that +8 means I get 8 coin per turn. It adds up. My harbor is only a +4, so that have a marketplace, we eating, and it has a +6 campus. Let me see here. I have a +5 campus here, but I wasn't able to finish it, so it doesn't count. I only have a +3 harbor, but again, the harbors help a great deal. And as a tidbit, I'm sure you know this, but when you put down a harbor or a marketplace, you get a caravan. That stuff helps exponentially with providing food and coin. Early on, depending on how you like to play, you will only benefit from the coin. But if you use internal routes, then they can provide production, food, and coin. And again, we talked about that on a later video. What's important for this is this city is called coal, and literally it's disconnected from the rest of my empire because I needed more coal. I knew that with the threat of the Arabian Empire, I mean, look at these dudes. Look how many cities they have. And look at it. They got a 16 and 17 and 14 right next to each other. That's a bad corner. They have a 7, 5, 7, a 12, 7, 15, 10. I'm more concerned about the 15s than I am anything. Oh, there's a 25. Now that's a problem. I'm more concerned, and you should do this, by the way, periodically. Just kind of look around at your neighbors to see how tall they are. So not just width, but also tall height. You want to know how tall they are because a taller city typically has better production. And if you go to war, a small city like a size 3, you're like, well, it's going to take them 15 turns to build a swordsman, right? You run into a size 17, like, oh, okay, this is the city defenses will be better. They'll have better units. They can kick out the units very quickly. So yeah. By the way, as we conclude the video, I'm almost a pacifist. Like, I don't start incursions. I prepare for incursions, but I don't start incursions. So I don't attack people. If I attack you, you've done something egregious. So most of the time, and by the way, my Civ is inclined to be defensive and peaceful. So it's not even like I chose somebody who fits my personality type. Oh, yeah, look at that! I got a +5 over here. Yes, I have a +5 industrial zone in Adiab, the occupied territory of Adiab. And Holy Names is just a +5 and a +5 industrial zone, but they weren't really players. Like by the time they got up and running, it was kind of late in the game. So I had like the campus, the research lab, or excuse me, I had on my campus I had the library, the university, and the research lab. That was my focus in building the harbor. Building the industrial zone later, that was just cookies. That was just extra. You'll note also that I only have one theater building. I don't have many barracks. Like this, we are peaceful folk trying to get off the planet. But if you mess with us, we got a robot, we got airplane, we got tanks. Like we got some stuff. But you really want to have a sense for the rhythm of the game. That would be like my last thought. That I would share. You want to have a rhythm. You want to have a sense for how the game's proceeding. And things can flip. Like, I'm friends with the French over here. Let's see if I can get out of this. I used to be friends, actually. Yeah. She fell out with me when I started beating her in the game. So I'm actually not friends with them anymore. So actually, this is a better example. Because your neighbors will begin to push, even those across the ocean and across seas, as they get closer to you, you're gonna have to negotiate a lot of political alliances, and you're gonna have to keep an eye on people who are aggressive. I thought the Aztecs would be up against. They haven't liked me for the whole game. Yeah. So now they're neutral, and I'm sure you know this, but green means that they're friendly. That doesn't mean that they won't attack you. 0 if you don't have any face on the side here. So if you look at if you go through, for me it's pressing L2. But as I go through and I just look at these faces, look, she's supposed to be happy, but look at her grill. She's not. She's pleased with me, but she's not friendly. Like, like she could declare war. Kingdom of Arabia, he's not smiling. Look at this dude. Look how happy he looks. We boys. We have an alliance. So, look, he's got his helmet in his hand. He's letting me know we're good. So we're good. Old girl here, we could have an alliance if we wanted to. We are allies. No, we're friends. We are proper friends. So there's no weaponry. She's smiling at me. We're good. So you can see again the colors. She has a blue face on in front of her avatar on the far left. The flag with the Vikings, or are they called Vikings? No, the Norwegians. They used to be called Vikings. But the flag means that we are allied. The green just means they're pleased to see me. Like we have no beef, but they could attack me. So fortunately, I won the game. Right? So we don't have to worry about that. But really, when you're to conclude, I would say that take advantage of your resources, learn adjacency, any adjacency that matters to you, whether it be culture, money, science, religion, whatever it is, pay attention to it. If you're a warlike, build your barracks as a way to rebuff your opponent, because they won't want to bring, like as you can see here, they won't want to bring horses by the barracks because they'll get shot. They're like, okay. So then you can kind of predict where they want to attack you. Like Homs, is that how you spell it? Homs? Yeah. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but Homs, Homs, they'll want to be away from the barracks. So I have a guy, I don't know if you can see him, but I have this guy posted right there. I have him posted to protect against that incursion. I have a tank up here in case they wanted to take the long way around. The tank is like right there. I have other troops down here in case they say, well, let's try to be slick and come down here. Like, you have to be mindful of the land and take advantage of the resources. They take, for example, in a war, they take a penalty, a fighting penalty, an attack penalty if you have to attack someone from across the river. There's a penalty if someone's standing on a hill. There's a attack penalty if you're standing on a wooded hill, right? So, well, I have a river and I've got woods, right? I'm taking advantage of all that stuff. I've never built a fort, but if you're concerned, you can build a fort and you can plop someone inside that fort and shoot from there. But I'm not warlike, so I haven't had to do that. But again, pay attention to the where you want to settle. Pay attention to your borders and establish borders. Don't be passive. Look for tech and culture bonuses so you can expedite your way down the culture tree and the tech tree. Note your paths to victory and pay attention to the districts early on. I press L1 and you can see that this is called map track or map tax. And hold on, let me do something that I don't care about. So if I use my map tax, I can take note barbarians, like, beware barbarians are here. Or I can say, hey, this is a good spot for a campus. I need to remember that. You could do that. Or you could do something like hammer. Or go down here, World Wonder, Colossus. What I'm missing one. What's the? Oh yeah, and there's other stuff too. Like if you want to build a mine, you could do that, or you could delete them. I like to delete them as I go along. Let's see here. Do I still have some up? Obviously, this is for the spaceport, so I knew that would be the site for my spaceport. Let me see here. Do I have any others to give you a sense of how I do it? But I think you get the gist. Yeah, I tend to delete them as I go along. But I think that gives you the gist of things. But let me know if you have any questions. I play on deity. That is the highest level. It is extremely difficult. I only win 40 to 50% of my games, and those are games that I continue to play. Right, we're not even counting about games that I say, oh, I hate the map, and then I quit. I'm talking about from beginning to end, I only win 40 to 50%. But anyway, I hope you guys are well. I will catch you on a rebound. Peace.